a comment then on IFRS as well. For instance, collectively India decided to sign up to converging to IFRS in 2011 on April 1st, right? Now the government's pushed everything to such a last minute stage that today we have industry chambers lobbying with the government saying you haven't notified accounting standards, you haven't made the amendments, we don't know when the ordinance will come through, none of the existing laws or even the potentially future laws are compliant to IFRS, let's push this by another year, let's push this by 2 years. So in that case we're seeing corporate pushback because of the government delay. So it's either government delay or corporate pushback because of government delay, which means we might not even make it to the IFRS deadline.
No, I appreciate, but the question again I'm asking is IFRS a real necessity? Assuming IFRS doesn't come through, are heavens going to fall? Are really things going to change?
I agree with that. I mean, it's in the sense that yes, IFRS we agreed to get into IFRS way back, so that we had all the time to prepare for it. This debate of whether we should go for IFRS or not should have happened then. But having taken the call that we will sign up, we have signed up, and that we've put a deadline on ourselves that we should get there. We had all the time to prepare for that, but that has not happened. You had two big changes which happened in terms of company law, DTC, which completely disregarded the fact that you were going to IFRS.
Yeah, both those laws don't even make a mention of IFRS. Yes.
Corporate India, which had all the time to prepare for it, is now almost on the last stage saying that maybe they need more time.
There is no excuse for this. Unfortunately, this is not a reflection of how the heavens will not fall out. It's a reflection of how we poorly prepare for everything. The company's bill has been written in the last 3 or 4 years when we already knew of the IFRS commitment. DTC written in the last 2 years. We knew of the IFRS commitment. Companies have seen the exposure drafts of accounting standards for the last 6-8 months, I think, and still say we're not prepared in any fashion, not till the standards are notified, so to speak. So I think it's just become this, procrastinating attitude. Nothing gained this year, fine. Mr. Doshi says nothing lost either. Will you agree?
Yeah, no, I think it's like the glass half full. The issue is that we have regulations which have been working for last 60 years. Within the regulations, India has been progressing at a certain speed. The GDP growth, an average of about 8%, just from an argument perspective. And therefore nothing would have fallen off. It is actually a reality. Nothing would have fallen off. The question is, can you bring in, and this is this softer aspect with governance, regulations, everything. If you had a more efficient regulatory framework based on what we are thinking of doing, can you actually improve that 8% to 10%, 11%? If you have, for example, IFRS, the point is that if Indian companies were to go and list abroad, if they were to get more FIIs, and you cannot deny the institutional money is the biggest, then you need to be presenting financial statement which is more familiar.
Indian industry has adopted IFRS long back. Almost every company listed on LSE and NYSE is producing IFRS and US GAAP accounts.
And what's the harm in making sure that in Indian accounts also we do?
No, but the point is the Indian investor understands current GAAP, has been used to it for the last maybe 30-40 years. Without educating him, why do you want to expose him to something new?
This year. So, gentlemen, we started this year with a conversation with 3 CFOs, Mr. Devasthali, R. Sridhar and S. Mahalingam, talking about how it was going to be a year of enhanced cost of compliance, of communication, and potentially some confusion because all these new things that we expected will fructify this year were not talking to each other, right? A point that we've already made. Instead, none of that's happened. This was supposed to be the year of communication. It hasn't been that at all because of this constant pushbacks. I keep coming back to the same point. Do we want change? Do we not want it? Why have we spent so much time debating it?
If I just can say that point of what you talked about is inter-legislative communication, which is communication between a DTC and a IFRS and a potentially company's bill.
Yes.
That is the disappointment. In fact, my view was in the beginning of the year when we were sitting down as a group to look at IFRS and what should be the convergence method, and there are 2 committees, one headed by Mohan, the other by Mr. Mahalingam.
Yeah.
I think the talking between these regulations, when your company is being prepared, you need to see what IFRS is doing. IFRS needs to look at what companies is specifying.
These are not laws dating back 10 years.
And I think we've kind of decided each one will go their own way, and we'll have again a reconciliation between all of that, which is the problem. If today DTC was serious about IFRS, the thousands of ITOs in this country need to be educated on IFRS.
Koushik, you're giving Mr. Doshi's argument no further. This is exactly what he's saying. We are not prepared for this change, so don't push it through. Let it be for a few more years.
The point is that you will never be prepared unless you take that decision to get prepared. That's the point.
All I'm saying, take the advantages. You need IFRS for a foreign listing. Those companies who want to do it, do it. SEBI has already permitted. SEBI has given the option that companies can prepare consolidated accounts under IFRS and publish IFRS accounts instead of Indian GAAP.
That's early adoption.
Early adoption. So the liberalization is already there. Why do you want to force it to the rest of the companies who are producing accounts under a GAAP which is robust? Are we saying that the current GAAP is not robust enough? Is not giving adequate accounting results?
I'm out of argument on this.
The issue is that if you have a company, say who's listed in an LSE or an NYSE, and there are many such companies actually in India, where you prepare a US GAAP or an IFRS for that listing, you prepare a Indian GAAP for Indian listing or for requirement. Now, think of a situation.
Publishes 3 GAAPs every year.
Think of a situation.
Indian GAAP, US GAAP, IFRS.
Now think of a situation where you have many companies who are listed overseas will be preparing pure play adopted IFRS for that listing. They will be preparing an Indian GAAP or Indian IFRS for reporting, and then you will have the Indian GAAP for tax purposes.
Yes, I'm aware.
So the question is that if those regulations were talking, then at least you would have minimized to at least 2, if not 1. The whole idea is, and that's where the efficiency comes in, with the efficiency of the management to do better things than just prepare the same thing 3 times.
So you're actually playing into Mr. Doshi's hands, so by saying that we are not ready. For a variety of reasons we are not ready, and therefore why push the change through if we're not ready,
This is to answer your question that what have been the disappointment for the year.
Yeah, okay.
And I think going forward, unless we actually put it onto the table and say within a time frame we're going to sort this out and get it going. Otherwise, next year also we'll all 3 come here and talk about the same. And
no, if none of this happens, next year I'll have to shut this show down because there will be no corporate law in India, right, with the exception of court judgments.
What's the message we are getting out? Here is something which we all of us agreed that we will have a deadline there, and we had all the time to prepare for it. I mean, we could have debated whether we needed it or not maybe a few years ago. But having got the time to prepare for it, people didn't prepare for it because there was an expectation that it will anyway get pushed back.
If you look around the companies, all the large companies that we've talked to as part of that subgroup were willy-nilly getting themselves ready. The point is that exposure draft and the final standard, if it becomes significantly different, then you will have those companies into difficulty. And that's the point.